Dr. Shabir, welcome to Let the Quran Speak.
Pleasure to be on.
Let's talk about Isaac. We talked about Ishmael last time, and it's funny because the two individuals' roles seem to be reversed in the Old Testament and in the Quran. So tell me about that. Why does it seem like their positions are completely different or opposite of how they are in the other scripture?
Yeah. So it's easy to understand why it is like this in the Bible. The Bible is written by descendants of Isaac, and naturally, as they say, history is written by the winners. So from that perspective, the whole salvation history is going to flow through Isaac. He, though being the second son of Abraham, and though the first son usually in that context has greater rights, nonetheless, Isaac is presented as the champion and as the forefather of the biblical prophets, and also eventually the one through whom the covenant with Abraham is actually to be counted. Whereas on the other hand, Ishmael is lightly dismissed as an archer and somebody who will be a wild donkey of a man, whose hand will be against every man's hand, and everyone will be against him as well.
And I believe there's also mention that, you know, the covenant is not through him because he was the son of a slave, right?
Of the slave woman, yes. So in this case, Ishmael gets a lesser role. He makes some cameo appearances here and there. But the storyline then proceeds in the shadow of Isaac.
So, you know, the Quran kind of reverses it, or kind of gives them the opposite role, right? Because the one who was sacrificed within the Quran is Ishmael, right? Supposedly, it seems like that.
Well, yeah. Let me clarify that. In the Quran, it's not clear which son was actually sacrificed. Okay. In the sacrifice story, the son is not specifically named. In fact, both names occur, Isaac and Ishmael, but the one to be sacrificed is not specifically designated in the Quran as Ishmael. However, Muslim interpreters have gone both ways with this. Some interpreters, some very old ones, like Tabari, for example, seem to prefer the idea that Isaac was the son to be sacrificed, and that interpretation was largely influenced by what the interpreters knew from the biblical tradition. On the other hand, some later Muslim commentators, especially Al-Imam as-Suyuti from the Middle Ages, argued strongly, based on indications in the Quran itself, that the son to be sacrificed must have been Ishmael, if you put the logic together of how various things are stated in the Quran. And I'm convinced by that explanation.
That it was Ishmael?
It seems that there is a strong indication in the Quran that this was Ishmael, the son to be sacrificed. So on the one hand, the Quran is balancing that imbalance which was already noted before. So if previously of the two sons, Isaac had received quite a prominent mention, and now to balance that picture, Ishmael is receiving a prominent mention in the Quran as well. But the prominence of the mention of Ishmael by name is more in Islamic tradition than in the Quran itself.
Okay.
Otherwise, the Quran mentions both names. And
does the Quran say anything great about Isaac?
Oh yes, the Quran speaks about Isaac as being a child of in response to prayer. And the glad tidings were given to Sarah. She laughed because she thought, okay, I'm so old, how can I have a child now? And my husband has turned to be an old man, but yet she was assured that this is God's doing and God will bring this to pass. So the birth of Isaac is shown to be miraculous in the Quran, and he is counted among the prophets and among the righteous people in the Quran.
Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.